Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV2. The main talking points on tonight's programme: Jimmy Calderwood reveals he has Alzheimer's. Aberdeen put the case forward for the new stadium. Dougie Freedman is the bookies' favourite for the Hearts job. Yeah, just a few of the talking points tonight. Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin, will be discussing with our bootroom guest tonight. I'm delighted to say East Fife's manager, Darren Young. I was going to say player manager, but the legs are starting to hurt Ruffy, and I feel as if it's slipping away from him now. It's only a matter of time before the boots are eventually hung up.
You're probably right there. I've had to sort of hang in there the last sort of few games in the League Cup section, short of bodies, but it's that day's coming ever closer.
Yep, absolutely. Would there be a tear or an emotion?
I think there will be. It's, every player will tell you want to try and play for as long as possible, but I think the position I'm in now, you're kind of wanting to concentrate more on the coaching, and I've kind of been there and done my bit, and I've had a good innings, so good time to go out.
Yeah, absolutely. Your brother feels the same way, doesn't he?
He's getting there as well. He's getting there. He's got a wee opportunity with Aberdeen, the under-17 squad, so he's looking to go up there and be taking over that job this year or helping out as well, so good luck to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm delighted actually, Darren, you're in here. We can have a wee chat about your old club Aberdeen as well. As far as the back pages of the newspapers this morning, let's have a look and see what dominates them. This is of course Stuart Armstrong. Brendan Rodgers not happy with the agent, feels as if he's dragging it out and it's affecting Armstrong on the playing side, and confirmation there of Steve McLaren out of the running for the Hearts job. Here's the Sun again talking about the deal for Stuart Armstrong. The Wes Foderingham possibility of a new contract at Rangers is there as well, and Hull City on the trail of Chris Cadden, the Motherwell defender come midfielder. And there we have it there. Brendan Rodgers just talking about he doesn't feel as if it's a risk if he's putting Near Beaton at the heart of the defence in that match, Celtic against Astana, which is not too far away from kicking off. And it's such a huge game in many ways, Ruffy, because quite simply, if over the two ties Celtic can get through to the group stages, suddenly all the other clubs in the Premiership in Scotland will receive £250,000 from UEFA.
Yep, I'm sure they'll be keeping their eye on that one. It's always good for a lot of the clubs who don't see that kind of money to get that wee windfall at some stage the season. So yeah, it'll be a big game for them as well.
Yeah, Darren, you've been involved in more than a few contract talks. When it doesn't get done, does it play in your mind? Does it affect your performance? I mean, Stuart Armstrong is right in the eye of the storm at the moment, with the manager saying he's had a chat with him, he wants to stay. It's the agent playing the game here of waiting to see what's on offer.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a player, you just sort of concentrate and get on with it. I mean, there'll be some guys, your Balotellis of the world, who'll maybe turn their head and they'll go a wee bit crazy, but a guy like Stuart, he's a great professional, he's not a daft wee boy, so he'll get on with the job and kind of whatever happens, but at the same time, it's going to turn your head if you've got that wee opportunity maybe to go down the English Premiership or somewhere like that, so you maybe concentrate on the job at hand, but knowing that there may be something bigger or better there waiting for you.
Yeah, and with that in mind, Ruffy, you know what it's like in football, 2 and 2 makes 5, because quite simply, down south, Gylfi Sigurdsson moves to Everton. Swansea have £45 million worth of spare cash, and they're already suggesting that some of that could be spent on Armstrong at a nice little snip at £6 million.
Yeah, well, it just shows you the kind of season Armstrong had last year. He was absolutely superb, and I think he proved a lot of people wrong in the European games as well. He was absolutely superb, and then he goes into the Scotland team, puts up really good performances. So yeah, I think there will be English clubs who will identify him as a good price if they can get him. But I would like to think that Celtic would be doing their best to try and hold on to him. I think he's still a young player with a lot to offer, and we would like to see him up here, but obviously there's a lot of money getting thrown about down in England, so I think the Celtic need to get it done and dusted.
Yeah, there was wild speculation that Patrick Roberts would be in and available for Celtic's Champions League match tonight, but I think over the course, whether he was there or not, Darren, you know, it's not only Celtic that will benefit to a greater degree, it will be them if they get through, but over the two legs, crucial in the first leg to try and make sure they keep things bolted at the back, even with a central midfielder dropping back into the centre half position in Near Beaton.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think Brendan knows his team and knows his players, so I think he's pretty confident that Beaton can go back in there and play. At the same time, you're wanting to make sure you do shut up shop. You don't lose any goals, especially being the home team, losing a away goal, and I think they'll do it. To be honest, I think they'll get a couple of goals. Just disappointed probably that that money that everybody gets doesn't get spread out through the rest of the leagues.
I knew that would worry you, by the way. You know, most of the other deals, Ruffy, when you think of all the sponsors, get spread across the 42 clubs, but this little kitty is spread across the Premiership, and it's a tidy sum, so there'll be a few celebrating it. Couple other things I want to get your thoughts on. Of course, not too far away from kick-off, Celtic Astana. As far as the Champions League is concerned, here's what happened last night in the Champions League. Karabakh just edging out Copenhagen in the first leg. Apoel Nicosia with a good win over Slavia Prague and a clean sheet as well. And there, Liverpool getting a 2-1 win against Hoffenheim, which would suggest to you, Ruffy, by the time they get them back to Anfield, they'll be looking forward to the group stages.
Yeah, I think the only thing they'll be disappointed in that scoreline is losing a goal so late on. But you would think they were in command last night. Good penalty save for the goalkeeper. But certainly in the second leg, you would expect them to win that one quite easy.
Yeah, the only thing that's dogging Liverpool at the moment that's annoying the life out of them is the Coutinho deal will not go away, and suddenly you get to a situation where you could be facing Champions League group stages without the number 10, and he is a special player, and then you've got to go and try and replace him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the writing's on the wall with that one, especially with Barcelona with a spare 200 million to spend as well. So it's, I mean, these prices just sort of inflate the other players round about it, and you can now see, I mean, they're talking 100, 110 million. I mean, if Neymar hadn't gone for 200 million, would we even be talking these figures for the player? But he is a quality player, and I think once you get your head turned with a team like that, especially the agent as well, he'll have his head turned, he'll be pushing towards a exit door.
Yeah, absolutely. The transfer request has already gone in. Couple of things, just a little bit of transfer activity. I was reading in the Edinburgh Evening News, Ruffy, Hibs close to completing a loan deal for Man City winger Brandon Barker. You know, slowly but surely, just as it gets towards the end of the transfer window, Neil is just making sure he's got options in key positions.
Yeah, he certainly is, you know, and I thought he had already two excellent wide players, but obviously every manager wants as many players as you can get with quality, because it's going to be a long, long season. And again, it's another addition to the squad. They already proved at the weekend that they can handle themselves. And if you looked at the Hibs bench at the weekend, it was as strong as you'll ever get, you know, but he still wants to add to it. And I'm sure the supporters will be happy with that.
Yeah, a number of people have mentioned this today in some of the tabloids, Ruffy, but I think we mentioned it when we were discussing this nonsense over Neil Lennon and the complaints that have been made. It's somehow detracted away from the performance of Aberdeen. I think that's been lost with a lot of people.
Yeah, it certainly has. That's the kind of thing that does that, you know, and I'm led to believe that some managers actually do go into press conferences after the game and deflect away from a bad performance. You know, they throw something out there that if the media obviously catch on to, and I think that's what happened at the weekend. But Neil will know that his players played particularly well. I think the sending off, as we keep saying, was a big turning point in the game. But at the end of the day, it's 3 points.
Yeah, no surprise for you that the appeal has gone in for Ryan Jack. Do you think, I mean, I've heard some phrases of people saying, I think he'll get away with it. To suggest somebody's getting away with it is to suggest he's done it. It's surely a situation here where you suggest to yourself he's been acquitted and not guilty rather than getting away with it.
Yeah, Peter, there was 2 or 3 things at the end of last season. I think we were all gobsmacked that people were appealing and getting off, you know, in technicalities, and it was getting ridiculous. You know, I think the people who are coming off worse than this is the referees, who are honestly filling a report in and what they actually saw. Okay, they can get it wrong sometimes, but 9 times out of 10 they get it right. So I think they're the ones, the association will be the ones that are going, what's the point? You know, if they're appealing, you know, things that are ridiculous, you know, and getting off with these small technicalities. And I think, my opinion is, I thought Jack moved his head forward. I thought Stokes should have got a yellow card, and I don't know why you would appeal that.
Yeah, and of course the other thing about it, Darren, is quite simply managers can't even celebrate a goal now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean the abuse he gets, not just him, but obviously he's in a different position to everybody else. We've been a Rangers Celtic connection there, but I mean he's celebrating a goal. At the same time, these fans are hurling abuse all game, non-stop, all sorts of things. He's had to deal with a lot of stuff through his career as a player and a manager, and then the slightest wee celebration, everyone's up in arms and spitting the dummy. And to be honest, you can't have it both ways. And it's bad enough with players scoring a goal, you can't celebrate in front of your own fans. Now as a manager, you turn around and have a wee gesture and you're getting vilified for it.
Yeah. One little point to finish on, Ruffy, which is of course Dougie Friedman, the front runner now for the Hearts job. This is just bookies chat at the best of times, because I think Presley and Hartley have been interviewed. There'll be more undoubtedly in that short list that they have.
Yeah, I think when you see a manager like that getting thrown in, the categories seem to be his strongest point is bringing in young players and selling them on for a profit. You know, that's what he did down in England. Okay, some of the clubs he went to wasn't particularly successful, but he's a young manager. You know, he'll go into the interview room, and if he says the right 4 or 5 things, then you can move up the list very, very quickly.
Yeah, forgive me, I thought the remit was win games and then win more games. It must be something different these days. I'll ask Darren after this quick break. We've got a question for you, and we're going to talk Aberdeen with Darren, and of course East Fife, where he is now. Honestly, I really wish you could have been present to see the painful looks on Darren Young and Alan Ruff's face there. They were going through everybody. They just couldn't work it out. Of course, Charlie won the league with Celtic, then the League Cup, and he went down south and scored 2 goals in the League Cup win over Liverpool for George Graham's Arsenal. So
there you go.
There you have it. Okay, 1 down, another 2 to go. I'm not holding out much hope with you two. Okay, let's talk about something that I think, to be perfectly honest with you, is a sad story, which is, of course, one of your old gaffers. Jimmy Calderwood has come out over the last couple of hours and mentioned that he has the early onset of Alzheimer's, dementia, which is really sad to hear.
Yeah, no, it's disappointing. I was sitting with Jimmy at the Play of the Year do at the end of last season, and he just seemed the same old Jimmy, joking a laugh and talking about the good old times, and he seemed fine. But it's obviously sad to hear that. Yeah,
and of course you had happy memories with him. Am I right in thinking he signed you for Dunfermline?
Yeah, no, he signed me for Dunfermline. It was probably one of my sort of better seasons, and it was a great season with Dunfermline that year. We finished, I think it was 3rd or 4th in the league. We got to the Scottish Cup final, and luckily we got beat. And on top of that, we managed to get into Europe. And I think it was at the club's highest league placing. It was a great season. It was a great bunch of boys, and great times. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I think Ruffy underrated as a manager.
Yes, and I with somebody on the show, I can't remember who it was, but they went through his record at the particular clubs he went to, and they were successful. You know, everybody's CV when you're a manager gets thrown out there, and I think if you look at Jimmy's CV, he was very, very successful at a lot of clubs he was at. I don't know why. I mean, if I'm saying I don't know why, I don't know why he's saying I don't know why he never got a club. You know, he was out the game for so long. Because I thought he was good enough every time you spoke about him, as Dan just talked about him there. Good man manager, you know, looked as if a guy you would want to work for, and nobody could understand why he could never get a job. I know he had to go back to Holland to get a job in one of the lower divisions, but certainly here I thought he'd done enough for somebody to take a chance on him.
Picking up on that point, you know, experienced managers at the best times, it could have been down to the economics of the country in the last 5 or 10 years not been great. There have been a lot of younger players, younger managers have been given jobs, but when Jimmy, you know, he's experienced, he played for Birmingham as a player, then had 10 years in Holland, but here, you know, as well as Dunfermline, great days at Aberdeen, but the 2 key points of his latter part of his career here in Scotland, kept Ross County and Kilmarnock in the Premiership.
Yeah, no, his record was great. It was brilliant. I mean, what he did with Dunfermline, and then he moved on to Aberdeen, and to be honest, I think he was given a bit of a raw deal at Aberdeen. He'd done so well for so many years, and then obviously ended. But from there, he comes in and he helps Kelly out. He comes in and he helps Ross County out, and that's massive sort of for those clubs. If the economics, as you were saying there, for these clubs to get relegated, then the money they would be losing, and who knows, he could still be relegated if he hadn't kept them up.
Yeah, I think the highs, as you mentioned there, Darren, with Dunfermline, but for me, Ruffy, defeating Dnipro, the Dons, getting into the last 32 of
Munich.
The UEFA Cup, Bayern Munich, it's just, I mean, 2-2, okay, they get thumped over there. Many a team has get thumped by Bayern Munich in their own stadium. So that's no disgrace, but the 2-2 game, I think, many an Aberdeen fan can remember every minute of it.
Yeah, I thought he was taken on board at Aberdeen. He's a kind of manager the fans love, and certainly as we talked about the years that he had there, I thought the fans really appreciated everything he done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the one point that I think is probably the most courageous here is, one of his friends in Holland had come out and mentioned that he had a similar problem with dementia, and Jimmy just thought, well, if someone in my close proximity, a friend, can do it, I better come out and say it as well. And it's one of those diseases, Ruffy, that's just, having experienced it, in my own family relations, it's gut wrenching.
It certainly is. I'm fortunate enough to be part of the Partick Thistle dementia programme. I go to Partick Thistle once a month, and the supporters come in who have dementia, and we sit and talk about past times and players, and it's really good to see their memories are there. It's just clicking something for them, and there's about 10 or 12 of them come every month, and they sit and talk about past players, and you can see the smile on their face just to have these memories coming back to them. And if you get the chance, if anybody gets a chance to do something for it, you should do it, because I think the SFA are doing it as well. They have a dementia programme as well. So it's super that football can bring that back to so many people.
Yeah, well done to Jimmy. More and more people affected by it nowadays in your immediate and, the wider family as well. Everybody seems to know someone who has this terrible disease. As far as Jimmy was concerned, I think the other key point, we mention it week in, week out on this programme, you obviously would have picked up on it. Man management is a quality.
Yeah, definitely. I think it plays a big part in football, and you get certain players that need a wee arm round them, and other players that need a sort of shouting and bawling. But I think nowadays it is more a case of speaking to players individually rather than sort of shouting and bawling in their face. We had that in the youth team back in the day. If you've come in at half time, times it might not be going great, but you're still 0-0, you're still in the game, and you'd be fearing the manager coming in and having a right go at you for getting the ball away once. But nowadays, I don't think they react to that very well, players. And I think if you show them, you point out, you've got the video analysis and things like that. Now you can take them aside and say, look, this is what we're looking from you. Because for the video analysis, for me, there's no hiding place. Once you go through that and you kind of show them certain things, if it's not working and they're still making the same mistakes, then that's them sitting next to you on the bench the next week. So it's just the way the sort of generations came through.
I don't want you to reveal too many secrets, but did Jimmy have to put his arm around you, or did he have to give you a good rollicking?
No, not at all, never. I just kind of got on with it, just worked hard, and some games you're only the best. A few fans will vouch for that, but you just got on with it, and they accepted that what you gave them, and hopefully there was more quality than there was other side of things.
I think in our times when half time came and you were having a bad game, what you used to do is just hide behind somebody who's having a worse game than you. They're first in. You're the ones that are getting it.
One of these days, Ruffy, you are going to reveal that person that you hid behind. We tried to just drag it out of him, Dan, but he's not going to fold just yet. Of course, you're a manager with East Fife. Now, we've been singing your praises from your work at Albion Rovers, but it's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, definitely. I feel it's a wee sort of step up for me now in my career. They're a great club. They're well run in the background. Everything's brilliant. They couldn't do any more for you. It's just from the first day I've been through the door. Any help, anything that I need or want is there for me, and it's been great. It's a great bunch of boys. Only came in sort of a week before the end of the start of the pre-season, which is a bit hard. maybe lost out on a few targets, but from that I've managed to get a good squad together. There was a great bunch of boys there from the season before. We played against them and they were actually unlucky not to miss out in the playoffs in the last sort of game or two at the end of last season. So there is a good core there. We've had a few injuries and a few injury setbacks, but hopefully within the next week or two we'll have everyone back. We've kind of had to soldier on through the League Cup section and the pre-season games, but the boys are all in it together, and here's hoping we have a good season.
Should you be one of the teams considered for the top 4?
Possibly. They'll let other people decide that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough call because Ayr and Wraith, Ayr are everybody's red hot favourites for that division as well as Wraith.
Yeah, I mean, we want to aim for it as high as possible, but the old cliche, we'll take it a game at a time, and if they're there come the end of the season, brilliant. We'll kind of push on and try and do that. But with the squad of players that we've got, if we can get a wee bit of consistency, then there's no reason why we can't be up there challenging. It's, as you say, Ayr full-time, Wraith full-time. They've got decent budgets, decent squads, and then I think there's probably muchness with everyone else. If you can get yourself on a wee run and go a few games unbeaten, but get the confidence up, and then from there you can kick on and have a good season.
Yeah. What are the board like with you? Because we're sitting here, and part one of the programme, you're talking about £6 million deals, £200 million deals. And I don't mean this in a derogatory fashion, but at your end, how difficult is it to duck and dive?
Yeah, it's that you've got to do that. You're trying to get loan deals in, and you're fighting over 25 quid here and there, and same with players. You're 10, 20 quid. For some reason, 10 or 20 quid makes a difference these days, but that's just players for you. But it's great. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the hands-on approach and everything. Again, as I say, that the chairman set out my budget. There was a certain amount left. I've worked within that budget. From there, it's so far so good.
Yeah, many a person tells me a manager's only as good as his players. Have you been able to? Do you change your ethos in the way you wanted football played, or have you got players that can actually go out in that field and try and execute what you've told them?
Yeah, no, I think I've got the players there. There's quite a few players that can play a few different positions, so they're able to adapt. Again, we've kind of set out what we want to do, and it's probably the same when I first started with Rovers. You're going in there's a squad of players already signed up, and you need to find out, right, what's their best position, what's the best formation to play them in, all these sort of things. And it's been the same with East Fife. Although I know the players from playing against them and coaching against them the last few years, you still need to get in there, see the player, what they like as a person, what they like as a player, what's their best position, and then either fit them into the team or kind of let them go. But so far they're fitted in, so
yeah, absolutely.
Good on that side of things.
And for the benefit of all the East Fife players who are watching right now and hanging on your every one, you're fitting into the system. That's good news. Okay, coming up after the break, we're going to talk Aberdeen, because there's lots happening around the club, as well as a good start to the campaign in the league. There was that little disappointment, I'll say little, against Apollon Limassol, but there's talk now of the new stadium. The decision is coming ever closer. So we'll hear from Derek McInnes. We'll get Darren's thoughts on his old club and what they can achieve this season as well. And of course, join us if you can right after this break with the news. You see, to be honest with you, Ruffy, you weren't the only god in Edinburgh. Frank Sosie, fantastic. I mean, on the park, I just thought he was coolness personified.
Oh, just had to watch him. He was like, I wouldn't say he was as good as Franz Beckenbauer, but he was in the same mould, that he was so comfortable in the back. He started playing at the back, and he just strolled through games. It was one of these Pat Stanton moments, where he never under any pressure, never seen him making a lunge. He always had everything under control. Yeah, always helps if you scored in derbies as well. And of course, he had a Champions League winners medal with Marseille in the back pocket as well, Dan.
Yeah, no, he was a great player. And even I played against him as well, with Aberdeen and that, and he couldn't run the length of himself, but he couldn't get the ball off him. He was the same as Ray Wilkins. Ray Wilkins is the same when he came up, and he couldn't run the length of himself either, but he tried to get the ball off him. Just couldn't get near him. Yeah, I mean, that's a great. It's a great. You should have done the foreword for his book. He couldn't run to save himself, but it just shows you
An old head, Ruffy.
Yeah, and he had quality as well. He was a class player, you know, and I think everybody at Hibs at that time enjoyed the time that he was there, and that I think he is in the Hall of Fame. He must be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But he was
after
just
you or before you?
Probably before me, probably.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming back to us just after that short break for the news. It's a football show. Our guest is East Fife boss Darren Young, and we're going to talk about one of Darren's old clubs, and a club that you and Derek played for with distinction as well, Aberdeen. I mean, right now it's red hot what's coming up there, because they want to move to a new stadium, and the council are looking at the plans, and as you can see out at Kingsford, this looks fantastic, training facility, and I mean, it just looks magnificent, Ruffy.
Yeah, if you're a football team trying to attract players, if you're trying to attract good players, a good stadium, a good training complex, it starts, you know, obviously you got to, you know, entice them there with the financial side, but it looks incredible. I mean, I think Pittodrie does look a wee bit run down now, but if you ask any footballer, if they're turning up in the morning and they're turning up at quality, I mean, really quality training facilities, it's a great start.
Well, that's the point that I think Derek McInnes is emphasising.
We're elite at everything we do except in facilities, and it's something that has to change, and people might not realise at the minute, but will it take for us to be a bottom six team and to see the others signing top players when we get left behind because we can't pay the wages that others do? When it comes to trying to recruit good players, and Hearts and Hibs and all the rest of them are hoovering up potential signings that Aberdeen could be signing. That is what's going to happen if we don't act now. We have got to take full advantage of the momentum that's gathered here, both on the pitch and the work done by the board off the pitch and everybody else. But the decision for the people involved in this is the single biggest decision for this football club that you will make. So for all the councillors out there who have the power to say this can happen or it can't, it is the single most important for our football club.
Well, you've always got to be objective in these things. I'd love to see Aberdeen get the stadium and the training facilities. They deserve it. They are a big club. What we don't know is, in the background, all the politics of it that's going on with regards to, you know, the city council, the details of it, you know, could they redevelop Pittodrie or not? Is there money in place to build this whole thing? Stuart Milne will have all those answers, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a must, as Derek quite rightly says there. And they're on a red hot street just now. Going back to, I remember back in your day, we were training, sometimes we trained in the beach, sometimes we trained over in the grass next to the beach. You were at Balgownie, you were at the army barracks, you were kind of shuffling all around. And for that, that's taking them to another level. If they can get to that, if they can get all that stuff sorted in the background with whoever it is maybe holding it back, then it just takes them to a different level, and it's get to that wee step closer to Celtic and teams like that.
Yeah, well, they're lobbying hard on it now. They're really cranking it up, and Stuart Milne has also backed what Derek McInnes was saying.
At some point in time, it will no longer get dispensation to play European games here, and that was demonstrated one of the teams we played earlier this year in Europe, whereby they had to play at another stadium. We are not as fortunate as them. Our options are to play either in Glasgow or Edinburgh. What sort of statement would that send out from this city? What would our fans think if they had to travel to Edinburgh or Glasgow to play our European games?
Well, that would be a no-go if that indeed were the case, Ruffy. I haven't certainly read anything that suggests from UEFA you can't play your European ties there in the future.
No, they're cranking up the heat, obviously, you know, and they're using every pressure they can put on the council, and that's one of them, you know, that the whole of Aberdeen won't want them playing the games, European games down, and so it's just cranking it up, and Derek's right as well, what he's saying. So you would like to think Aberdeen, like where they are, and they're isolated away, you know, that this is a community involvement, this is a massive community, a city, you know, wanting to support their club. And I think if you ask anybody who comes for a city, if you've got a successful football team, there's a lot of people going about with a smile on their face. So you would think that would be, not the pressure, but you would think that would be the way to go, you know, to keep everybody on board.
Yeah, I think the key issue here, from Aberdeen's point of view, if they have gone through the due diligence and got the finance in place and everything, you know, whether it's Derek or another manager, they will have that opportunity to entice players, you know, when you can show them that you are a club, a forward-thinking club, and a club with the facilities to match the players' expectations.
Yeah, if you're coming up to that and it's a wee feather in your cap, you can turn around and say, "Oh, this is the training ground. There's our stadium. There's the community. Everything's great. Everything's in place to sort of take the club to the next level." It's massive, and I mean, I'm hearing some of the complaints. It's when you've got a match day, 2 match days a week, maybe max, 3 or 4 match days during the month. And people are complaining about the traffic for that one day, and it's ridiculous for what it will bring to the community and the surrounding areas, the jobs that are going to be there, and it's the feel-good factor will be back in Aberdeen, and who knows, they might get back to that level that they're up challenging.
Yeah, absolutely, and if they've got the training facilities to match as well, I mean, you'll have to look at Hibs now and what they have. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic, and Aberdeen certainly one of the big clubs that should have the facilities to back it up. Okay, you can have your thoughts on that at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. On the park, it's all looking good for the Dons as well, domestically.
If he wasn't still here, or if he left, I probably wouldn't be here. And I think, you know, the same could be said for a lot of the signings.
I've enjoyed every minute since I've been here. I knew what to expect, but he's got the lads on his side, and the lads love working for him.
And we reckon they will be breathing down their neck, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think they will. I think if you're an Aberdeen supporter, you will think you're just on the verge of doing something big. And I think when you're a supporter and you're supporting a club that doesn't have the financial clout of Rangers and Celtic, if you're getting to finals, okay, you're not winning them, but if you're getting there and you're getting the journey, you're going to be happy. And second place in the league is something that they'll want to be again.
Yeah, I think they're stronger, Darren. We've been talking about it ad nauseum since the start of the season. But you know, Stevie May's come in, Nicky Maynard we've heard from there, Gary Arneson, Gary Mackay-Steven. Everybody's raving about Ryan Christie.
Yeah, and you've got Greg Stewart as well on top of that. I mean, he's for the players he's lost. You're thinking, how are we going to replace them when he's come in? And he probably has gone one better with the guys he's brought in. And again, we spoke about this before, it's all about recruitment, and so far his signing policy and his recruitment's been great in the time he's been there. Do I think they could challenge for the league title? I still think it's Celtic's, and I think, to be honest, if they're being realistic, then it's kind of aiming for that second spot again and stopping the other teams that have sort of come in and challenging for that.
Yeah, I think realistically, Derek will be saying, we came close, another cup final, you never know your luck.
Yeah.
No, I think a win in a cup would be massive for the club. You have to do better year on year, and it doesn't matter what supporter you are at any club. Once you get your couple of finals, you'll want to be champing on the door. You'll want to experience that day of winning it. Obviously, with Hibs winning it and seeing how much their supporters triumphed it around the whole town, the city, and I'm sure Aberdeen would want to do that again. But we've saw a successful Aberdeen team will have nearly that stadium full, so that's why they want a brand new one that the supporters can enjoy.
Yeah, as far as the start of the season, only 2 games gone, Ruffy, but the good thing for Derek McInnes, you know, is taking it on. He had 10 defeats there. Apart from the Celtic games, he's got to try and turn some of those away games into wins, but he doesn't face Rangers, Celtic and Hibs until mid-October.
No, and that'll be, as I said, I keep saying it in the Managers Week, I don't know if Darren's the same. You look at that fixture board and there is a row of games when you're going to say to yourself, well, I should be taking this out of that. and he'll be doing the same. But the challenge will be when the big games come round, and that's where he'll be judged. But you're right, you know, if they can sort of just cut that bad run that they had down to a minimum, then they'll obviously have more points.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Darren was laughing there when he said, "Look ahead, managers look ahead." He's still thinking about the old cliche, one game at a time. But we've got a sneaky feeling he looks ahead as well. Okay, one more question for these two. Darren's 1-0 up in Ruffy. Are we going to get an equaliser? See, look at Ruffy's face. Look at you. Look at you.
Really sucked into that, didn't
Oh,
we?
honestly.
We threw out a couple of ideas and you hooked us in. It was just one of these.
Well,
you know.
honestly, see, when I was reading that question this morning, I thought to myself, what will I just open it up for Ruffy to jump in with both feet, and I knew you were going to do it, and thankfully Darren helped you along the way with John Robertson or Trevor Francis, but no, Peter With was a great player for Nottingham Forest, but he actually moved on and scored the winner against Bayern Munich for Aston Villa when they won the European Cup. So there you have it. Okay, everybody learned something on this programme. Our Bootroom guest is Darren Young, the East Fife manager. Here's something that you don't have to contend with because, you know, people stand and watch the games at your ground. Rangers fans have signed a petition saying, you know, they're backing safe standing at the ground. I think it's a great idea. I mean, you know, I think the Rangers fans would love a section where, you know, the supporters, I'm not sure if they're called the ultras on the left-hand side, but you know, they can go into an area and just create a good atmosphere.
Yeah, it seems to work at most of the grounds we saw. It works at Parkhead. I think it notably works at Dortmund. I think it's the whole bit behind that goal mouth, and it's absolutely jumping, and it just brings an electric atmosphere to the rest of the stadium. So yeah, fair dues to them. I think they should fire in there and get as many. I don't know if there's initially you've got to start with an initial number, but certainly if you could make it a success and go down the Dortmund route, I think it just adds to fantastic atmosphere.
I mean, it's well regulated. I mean, the Celtic one works good. The downside is just the fact that there are some people who, you know, bring in flags that get the club in trouble, and again, that's something that's all to do with policing it, and then obviously the relationship with the supporters. But when they're on song, Darren, the Green Brigade do create a great atmosphere at Celtic Park.
Yeah, I mean, you get a great atmosphere from it, and going back to the day when you probably stood in the stand and watched it as well, so you know yourself, it's great. It's a great atmosphere. Everyone's bouncing about and enjoying themselves, and I think Ruffy touched on there with Dortmund. It's that big, I think it's called the wall or something like that behind the goal. It's amazing, and if you get that, do it properly, then there's a future in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wish I was still at that weight. I could get a lift over. It's just not happening. But no, you're absolutely right. Okay, lots of other things that I want to get your thoughts on, but I think that one there, for Rangers fans to embrace it certainly would create a great atmosphere too. Down south, there's the ongoing situation with Coutinho. Now here's the flip side of the story, which every manager dreads, Ruffy, which is quite simply, if Arsene Wenger can't get the likes of an Alexis Sanchez to agree to a deal, and it looks as if he's finally conceding it slipping away, suddenly you've got a player who can leave for nothing, and that's a huge asset gone. No reward, no recompense.
Yeah, I have to say I'm all in favour of players getting as much out of the game as possible. When we played, the contract there was a stumbling block for moving on. You know, the club had you hooked, line and sinkered. Once you signed that, you know, 4 year with a 4 year option. So I think that's if you were at a good club.
Is that Jim McLean?
Yeah,
Dundee United.
We used to hear Dundee United stories which were horrendous. You know, 10 years with a 10 year option. But you know, I think players. I'm saying that maybe contradict myself because some of them are ripping the knit at it.
Yeah.
But players being players, you know, it seems to be money orientated now. I always say, how much money do you need to certain players, you know, who want to move from a club. Surely, at the end of the day, you want to win trophies, you want to win medals. If you're very, very secure and got 10, 20, 30 million in the bank, I think you should be showing some kind of loyalty. And I read, saying to you the other day there, I see that the boy Costa at Chelsea, he's refusing to move until he gets his loyalty payment.
Yeah.
Now, how long's he been there?
Yeah, I hate to be the judge.
No, you know what you're going to say.
I hate to be the judge in this, and I've got to try and offer a sense of balance on this. Incidentally, there was no 10-year with a 10-year option deal for Dundee United, in case you're going to complain.
It was 12.
But what I would say is, loyalty is a two-way street. Clubs' loyalty. What is the loyalty of a club? The loyalty of a club is like any business. If you are of use to them and performing, then you are a commodity. Yeah. If at the end of the day they think they can get more money for you, suddenly you're a valued commodity. If you are a dud, how can we get them out the door?
Yeah, it's like that, and it'll always be like that. If you're doing well and performing, then you're the blue-eyed boy. If you're not, and you're not going to get much for you, then right, on you go, kind of jog on. But at the same time, if clubs are, I've done it myself as a manager in the last sort of season or two. If we've got guys come in from the juniors and they've done very well, and obviously they've come in for the juniors, so they're maybe not on the biggest wage, but we've tried to reward them for doing so well. But at the same time, you're rewarding them when the club chairman and that are thinking, oh well, we get him in another contract, get him signed up, and somebody comes in near the end of the season, they can get more money for him. Yeah. So it works both ways. At the same time, if I think a player's not good enough, then you're kind of having to wait to see where you finish in the league. Are you going to be in the playoffs? Are you going to be up? You're going to be down? And then take it for there to see what you can offer, if you're going to offer them in.
It is a business nowadays. I can't criticise the players, because on that point that you make there about some players are ripping the back end out of it. I can hear Fraser Wishart shouting right now, wait a minute, it's supply and demand. If there is a club benefiting from a genius and they're making more money out of him, I mean everybody's talking about £200 million is a disgrace for the likes of Neymar, but if Paris Saint-Germain think they can make £400 million back, then it's good business.
Of course it is. The point I'm trying to make is the players that seem to be working a ticket, the people who are organising to leave a club. Yeah. And the way they do it through the agent and through the money going out the game, and that's the ones I'm talking about. I mean, we're talking about the high end here. Yeah. Let's talk about the guys who aren't making millions out of the game. And these people are taking money out of the game when there's other, not ordinary players, but players workmanlike who are putting in a shift and they're at clubs for 4, 5, 6 years, and players that are coming in for a year or two and then
don't need to play ever again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, it's such a small percentage in comparison to all the players across all the clubs in Scotland, England and all the other UK countries. Just on that point, I know the Premier League are discussing it, that they'd like to see the transfer window shut the minute the season starts. I'm all for that. I just think, all it does is shift the availability window. Yeah. But then you've got your squad, that's you, you're starting the season, this is the squad you've assembled, get on with it.
Yeah, I think you're right. All it'll do is push everything back. So whether it's a month earlier, they'll probably start a month earlier, the other side of things. So it's going to be the same. It's going to be a window in the summer, but they'll push it back. But then you've got everyone sort of saying all the different leagues in the world. So their transfer window changes then. Their transfer windows are 2 weeks later. Spain, Italy, Portugal. So when does it start? Everyone's, for me, has got to be in sync, because you then lose your best striker, but all of a sudden he's away to Spain, but you can't sign somebody else because your window's shut. You need to try and get somebody in on loan. So I don't know, it'll be a bit of confusion.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think once they've done the signing, that should be it, because when it comes to the window and they're saying they all need some players, see all the players you put out on loan, just bring them back. I mean, Man City,
to be fair,
Man United, how many players have they got all over Europe? If you think these players are good enough, just bring them back, and that's what you've got to play with.
I'm 100% behind you on that, Ruffy. That's where I think the clubs are ripping the back end out of it. Quite simply, you have 2 loan players maximum. The rest of it, no. If you can't build a team and plan for the future, that's part of the game. The loan system, I think, is something that needs to be addressed.
I think Chelsea have got was it last year they had about 30 odd players out on loan, something ridiculous like that.
That's a nonsense, and now you're in a situation where I think the other big problem looming on the horizon is the fact that you only have Southampton, who have just had a major investment from China. And it took, I think, £210 million for Jinsheng Gao to buy, an 80% stake in that club. Suddenly you've got foreign owners. Suddenly that whole, I don't know, link between fans and everything gets more and more distant as it becomes big business. We talked about this yesterday. I'm going to get Darren's thoughts on it. You said that you think Buffon will win the Champions League or the European Player of the Year award for UEFA. Here's the evidence, Darren. I'm going to put your way to see if you agree with Ruffy. Ruffy's gone for Buffon. There's his stats. He's won a Serie A, Coppa Italia, and he's also had 30 appearances, 10 clean sheets, and of course he did appear in the Champions League, but he didn't have the dream ending. Here's the evidence for Messi. There you are, 1 Copa del Rey. He's murder, isn't he? And also, I mean, the appearances, the clean sheets, the assist and the domestic situation and in UEFA is good. Yeah. And here's the evidence for my tip. He's won the UEFA Champions League, the La Liga, and the stats are just, impressive.
Any three, to be fair, any three. They've all had great seasons and great years. And
give us your choice.
A choice, probably Ronaldo, because of what he's won.
Yeah.
I've already deducted points off him.
Yeah, you're just not happy with him, Ruffy. You don't like him, do you?
Pushing the referee, you just deducted points.
Okay then.
That's a season. That was a season.
Sending out bad.
Absolutely. I can hear Andy Walker shouting at me now. You can't give it to a goalie or a defender, but nevertheless, I'm sure there are goalies and defenders out there well worthy of an award from time to time, but just not this time. We wish Darren the very best of luck at East Fife for the season. We'll be keeping our eye on his performances and hopefully getting him back in to get an update throughout the season on East Fife. Thanks very much for coming in as our boot room guest. Join us tomorrow at 7:30. We'll reflect on Celtic's game against Astana. From Ruffy and me, good night.